A lot has already been said about how the Japanese manufacturers seem to be taking their time when it comes to adopting a fully electrified future, especially when you think about their counterparts from the likes of Korea and of course Chinese, and especially when you think about how dominant they were when they first arrived on the scene during the 1970s and the 1980s. And the largest one of them all is possibly the one that perplexes us, Toyota. Because for years Toyota have championed hybridization, yet going fully electric, well, it doesn't seem to have been much of a priority for them. But all that is starting to change, because up until now we've had the BZ4X, and now recently we've seen the BZ4X Touring, and they've also addressed the smaller end of the market with their new urban cruiser. And now there's this, their most serious attempt yet in the C-segment SUV market, the CHR Plus. Welcome to this week's edition of Sneak Peeks. Welcome to the new Toyota CHR Plus, and as always, welcome to AutoEV. Now, before I get started on this week's edition of Sneak Peeks, it is of course the time when I have to get a little bit boring and a little bit repetitive. But it would seem that there are some people out there who are not already a subscriber to the AutoEV channel. Now, if that applies to you, would you please consider becoming a subscriber? And once you've done that, make sure you then turn on your notifications, because then you'll receive an alert when our next episode is uploaded and it's gone live. Once you've watched the reviews, if you enjoy them, and obviously I hope you do, make sure you give them a little thumbs up, and of course, as always, leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about the cars we feature on the channel, such as Toyota's CHR Plus, and of course, on the AutoEV channel overall. Now, it's always been a little bit of a mystery to me that Toyota, pioneers of hybrids if you like, has always taken their time to adopt full electrification throughout their model range, especially when you look at some of their competitors, such as Kia, Hyundai, and of course some of the new Chinese brands that are coming through. But Toyota have been taking their time for a very good reason. They're now adopting what they call a multi-path strategy. They've yet to be convinced that full electrification is the answer for everyone. And of course, there are going to be some people it doesn't suit. So what Toyota are doing is they're trying to offer something for everyone. And we see cars such as hybrids, plug-in hybrids, battery electric vehicles, and hydrogens across the Toyota range. So they hope to make sure that there is something in there for everyone. And of course, all of those different sort of like drive lines are electric in some way or the other. It's just you pick the one that suits you. And of course, what they then have is a multitude of models across different sizes, depending obviously on your needs. They don't get too much hung up on things such as B segment, C segment, and D segment cars. They just want to give you a small, a medium, and a large. So of course, your large car is taken care of with things such as the BZ4X and BZ4X Touring and RAV4s. And then of course, your small cars, you've got things such as the Aygo, the Yaris Cross, the new Aygo Cross Hybrid, and of course the new urban cruiser, the B segment SUV. And of course in the middle you've got cars such as this, the CHR, which is available as a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid, and now in fully electric form as well as the usual things such as the Corolla as well. And it's through this way of sort of like offering something for everyone in a different sort of like models across the range that Toyota hope to make sure that they are sort of like future-proofing themselves, depending obviously where the market does shift. And of course, remember, we're talking about a global company here. We're not just talking about what the UK or even Europe sees. We're talking about across the globe. And if they always just offer one thing, depending on the marketplace, then of course that could impact them. Toyota feel that by offering a multitude of drivetrains across a multitude of different models to a multitude of different customers, that is where the future lies. But this is a really important car for Toyota, because we know the CHR in the UK and in Europe is a big, big seller. The C segment of the market is the most popular across Europe. So they can't afford to get this one wrong. Have they? Well, let's take a deeper dive and find out. Now, as always, we start with how the car looks, and of course it's recognisable as a Toyota, and maybe in some respects recognisable as a CHR. But it's very important to understand that this is not just an electrified CHR, because this sits on a bespoke EV platform, Toyota's eTNGA platform, whereas the CHR is on a completely different structure as well. So there's no real compromises to be made with this car in some respects when it comes to the packaging. But as I say, recognisable as a Toyota. And of course it adopts Toyota's new sort of like hammerhead shark look at the front here, with this sort of like new nose cone that sort of like dissects these sort of like C-shaped DRLs here. Your main lamp units are down here, so they're splitting them like a lot of people do as well. And of course you get a nice big bold Toyota badge just in the front there. And like the normal CHR, the cooling's done down at the bottom here. You've got this strip across here, which houses a lot of the technology in it, so forward-facing camera, there'll be sensors in there, obviously for the radar-guided cruise control as well, and of course you get your parking sensors across the front. Not the best colour to show in a sort of like darkened studio, but Toyota GB unfortunately just have to take what their European counterparts send across to them, and it's this dark grey colour. But it does look quite sophisticated in some respects with this two-tone finish. And we'll talk about trims and sort of like trim levels and stuff a little bit later on. But I quite like it. I think it looks very distinctive and quite rakish looking. Toyota's styling seems to really have moved on leaps and bounds over the years. And I think they're really, really smart looking cars. I really like this sort of, as I say, this hammerhead sort of like styling, and it just ties it in with the combustion engine CHR and of course the much larger BZ4X and BZ4X Touring as well. You get a little bit of sort of like airflow management in there, where you've got the little vents there that take airflow out around the wheel arches and down the side of the car. I see all your cooling's done down at the bottom, and you can't really see it too much here, but of course you get your two-tone finish with sort of metallic grey here, and then of course your gloss black finishes down here and along the bottom of it. But yeah, I think it's a really neat looking car. I really like it. You know, the way the sort of the front wings have got this sort of like, you know, curvature to them, and then a slight more kind of bulbous centre sort of like section to the bonnet. We've got those pronounced wings that come wrapped around either side. Yeah, good looking car, I think. Now, as much as Toyota don't want to get hung up on calling things B segment, C segment, D segment, it's very much a C SUV, this car. 4.5 metres long with a 2.75 metre wheelbase. So that's the sort of size of car that you're looking at. And look how rakish it is. It's almost like coupe-like, very similar to the BZ4X. You know, the way it is at the back. I really do like that. And I do like this sort of like window line that drops just from the front windscreen and then goes a bit shallow here and then rises up again at the back into this real coupe-like profile. Now, of course, you get your lower sort of like section down here in the black plastic cladding to help protect sort of like the side of the car, and of course the doors wrap right underneath the car as well, so that's nice. You're getting it in and out, you're not dragging your trousers or skirt across a muddy sill. Charging flap is on the near side here, and as you see, you've got the little contrast to say the black plastic sort of like wheel arch extensions there, obviously giving you that kind of SUV-esque vibe. And at the back there, you've got your hidden door handle as well. Again, sort of like a mark of that more coupe-like sort of like type of car. Now, there's going to be 3 trim levels in the UK. You're going to start with the Icon, which is going to have 18-inch wheels as standard. Then you'll move up to the car that Toyota GB is seeing the biggest seller, the Design, and that's going to have 18-inch alloys with the option of 20-inch, and then your top of the range XL model, which will get the 20-inch alloy wheels as standard. Now, across Europe, there's going to be a dual motor all-wheel drive version, but for the UK, it's going to be a single motor only front-wheel drive. Toyota GB say they don't see a big take-up in the all-wheel drive car, so they're just going to focus on what they're going to see as their core models to get it right. So it'll just be available in that front-wheel drive single motor car. Of course, you get nice big sort of like door mirrors that sort of like sit on these little sort of like quarter lights there, so good visibility out of the car. And as I say, just at the back there, it all goes into this rakish rear end with sort of like the slight nod to the BZ4X. You'll see as we go around that, the sort of like twin blade rear roof spoiler there, and then the wrap round sort of like rear light bars with the spoiler mounted at the back under the rear window. But I have to say, I think this is a good looking car. I really like it. I think it certainly cuts a dash amongst some of the cars that are out there in the market. Now, I don't know if you can see, but just at the back end I was saying there, you know, those twin sort of like almost blade roof spoilers like the BZ4X, I really like that. And then you've got another spoiler here at the base of the windscreen, or the rear window here as well, so helps with airflow management. No rear wiper. You don't get one in the BZ4X, so you're not going to get one here. But I love this really slim light bar that just wraps around the side and comes all the way underneath that spoiler. Then a neatly integrated high-level rear brake light just in that spoiler there. That's nice. And a little Toyota badge there. I'm really pleased to see the badge there rather than Toyota spelled out across the back. I think that's nice. I like the fact Toyota have done that. I'm not so keen on sort of like manufacturers spelling a name across the back. Even Lexus do it now, so it's nice to see the Toyota badge there. But there is a plethora of badges, because obviously you've got Toyota CHR over here, then you've got BEV here, and of course this one, because it's come from Europe, this is an all-wheel drive car. Obviously we won't get that there. And then at the lower section here, look how bluff the sort of like the rear end is. It's really upright, that rear end. And then you get this big sort of like plastic rear bumper, really nice and practical. But then this lower section here, this sort of diffuser area here, with this sort of glossy black metallic grey, sorry, glossy metallic grey finish in it, just to break up the darkness. I like that. Parking sensors as you'd expect, and of course a reversing camera tucked underneath there. So what do we think? Well, I have to say, after the slight disappointment of the Urban Cruiser, I think this is a real win, and I really like this car. I think this is a good looking car, especially in this class. I think it cuts a real dash, and it's a real sort of like, it's nice to see Toyota come up with some really stylish looking cars. And obviously it's familiar Toyota, say with that sort of hammerhead shark sort of front end. You know exactly what it is that you're looking at. As I say, you can see nods of the BZ4X, even the Lexus RZ, you can just sort of see in this sort of rear profile area here. And I think they've really, really done well with the styling of this car. It doesn't really matter what I think, does it? It matters what you think though, because you might be interested in buying one. What do you think? Would you be tempted to trade out of your CHR hybrid and go full electric for one of these? Do you think it's a better looking car than your current CHR? Do you prefer it? Do you wish they'd just electrified a current CHR? Do you wish they'd electrified a Corolla instead of a CSUV? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know them in the comment section down below. Now, rear boot space. Electric tailgate. 416 litres, which is good, and it's 106 litres bigger than a CHR plug-in hybrid, so that is a decent amount of space for this class of car. Obviously, because it's a CSUV, there's a little bit of a lift up here, but your entry into the boot itself is relatively flat, so there's not any real drop there from the rear boot lid edge in that sense. You do actually have some storage underneath here, which you can change this boot floor, so you can have it in a slightly higher position, or you can actually drop it down into a lower position. He says, if I do that, and it just gives you a little bit more height as well. Obviously I don't have my suitcases with me because I'm at Toyota GB headquarters today, and they would think that would be weird if I turned up with suitcases. And I've just managed to jam that in there, but there we go. If I can get that sitting properly, there we are, that's it. The only downside when you do that is, of course, you've got this slight step up there to the actual framework of the boot if you're folding the rear seats down. Now, I don't have the figure for what it is total capacity if you do fold them down, but you do have the 60-40 split of the rear bench, so if you need to extend the boot, you certainly can. And of course you get the nice normal rigid parcel shelf in its place there. You've also got some things such as, you know, sort of like connectivity, sort of like in the back there. There's some power takeoff there. Obviously a subwoofer sort of like mounted over on this side there. And I'm sure there'll be sort of like some lashing points as well if you need to like put luggage nets in and things like that as well. But there's no other real sort of like practicality of things that you get sometimes with a Skoda. You know, like luggage nets that hang off the back here, or little dividers that you can sort of like put your shopping into. That might have been nice to see Toyota do. But in terms of overall space, I don't think we can complain too much about that. Now, obviously, this is a front-wheel drive car, and even with the all-wheel drive car, you'll have a motor up at the front, so there's no storage underneath the front bonnet. There's no frunk or fruit or whatever you want to call it. But as I say, even with the boot in the lowest position, there is still storage for the cables underneath the boot floor. So that's nice to see in that sense. You don't have to have separate bags just lying in the boot. So yeah, a decent size of boot for the size of car that it is. If I do have one complaint in some respects about the rear seat space, it's funnily enough, it's the angle the door opens at. It doesn't seem particularly wide here to actually get in. This seems like quite a narrow space to get in. And I think that might be a bit of a problem if you're loading car seats in. You know, if you've got one of those sort of, you know, turning around baby seats and things like that to load into the car. So yeah, do check that out, because it would be nice to have that door opened at a slightly bigger angle. It is cut right into sort of the rear wheel arch here, so there's a decent amount of space here. But yeah, it just feels like this is quite a narrow aperture to load a car seat in through. Anyway, there we go. What's the rear seat space like? Well, it's okay. One of my colleagues who was down at this reveal as well earlier, who's over 6 foot, was saying, you know, his head's brushing against the ceiling. Now, this particular car has the panoramic glass sunroof in it, and we get to get final specifications for everything that's coming to the UK. So whether that's going to be standard on, you know, every CHR Plus or not, I don't think it will be. But headroom's fine for me. I'm 5'8". That's sort of my driving position. The only thing I will say is I do feel my legs have been pushed up a little bit. But I've got space around my knees. I can get my feet underneath the front seat. I can move them around. That's okay. There's storage. There's mat pockets on the backs of the front seats. There's door bins. They're not particularly long, but they are quite deep, so you'll be able to drop a water bottle in there. No problem at all. You've also obviously got a flip down armrest with 2 cup holders and a little cubby tray in here for maybe dropping another mobile into, or an iPad or whatever in there as well. There's USB-C ports there. There's 2 vents in the back there as well, and of course the ISOFIX points, if you are using them for that aforementioned child seat, they're nice and exposed, so they're easy to find. Now again, there's going to be different sort of like options in terms of the interior. This has got a grey interior, and I have to say the material I think is absolutely lovely. It's almost like, and I'm going to use the word, it's like a crushed velour, but it's really, really nice. It's almost it's like a cross between a velour and a suede, and it looks really nice. But this, I think they're going to have black as standard with the optional lighter grey, like this one has as an option. I really do like this because it does give a bit of a lift. And as much as I've criticised Toyota's interiors for being a bit grey recently, this lighter one works really well, and the material itself feels really, really nice. But yeah, space is okay. It could be better. It's not as voluminous as, say, something like a Renault Scenic E-Tech, you know, or something like that. But again, you know, in terms of sort of like the size of car for the type of family that it might be, I think it'll probably be decent enough. And of course, you do have a relatively flat floor across. There is a tiny little bit, but I'm talking about that much of a lift in the middle of the centre section of the rear floor. But that's it. It certainly wouldn't stop somebody sitting in the middle bench if they had to. But as I say, the only thing I do find is, I say, if you're taller, you might find this coupe-like profile just a little bit too enclosing in, and it's nice to see that door open at a little bit of a wider angle. But otherwise, it's okay. Right, so up front, well, it's very, very similar to the BZ4X, and I must admit, I actually quite like this interior. As I say, I really like this seat material, which is going to be standard. I think this is an XL model, this particular one, in terms of its trim level. So this is really nice with sort of like the half leather and this half kind of velour stuff. I keep saying velour. Don't think of it as the 1970s are making a comeback, but you'll understand when you see it what I mean by it. It's really, really nice. And then of course you've got this sort of like almost leatherette material on the dashboard here, and then this textured plastic here. Now, as I say, in BZ4X reviews I've done before, I did criticise like Toyota for being quite grey inside. I've also, the new Toyota Prius that I reviewed over on my other channel, House of Cars, I did the same. I thought it was a bit grey inside. This is better. It's still grey, but because you've got different shades of it, 50 shades of, it does lift it a little bit, and it does make it look quite nice. Now, all cars are going to come with this 14-inch multimedia infotainment screen here, which is really good. It's very big, it's very clear, and it's a real step on from what Toyota have done in the past, I think. You're also going to have a thing in the navigation, the inbuilt navigation, where you're going to have charging. The car will monitor basically what charge is left in it, and it will calculate whether or not you need to stop and charge on a route that you're going down, and for how long you'll need to charge to get you on your way in the most efficient and quick manner it can do. So that's going obviously to come as standard. You'll obviously get things such as Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I mean, that's fairly much a given on any car these days. But everything is pretty much controlled through this screen. So your climate menu's in here as well, so you can go in here. You've got your Nano X technology, which puts the little droplets of water into the air conditioning system to help keep you feeling fresh, and dare I suggest even moisturise your skin, and it keeps out all the harmful bacteria out of the car as well. That's a real Toyota thing, so that's quite cool. And the screen itself, you know, it is quite quick. I've been using this screen a lot in various Toyotas and Lexus models as well. They are quite good, you know, so you've got quick access to things such as your lane departure. You know, you can also add in things such as, you know, your road sign assist, your driving assistant menu. That's on a shortcut menu. So for switching those ADAS systems off, it's quite easy to do. And they've increased the number of ADAS systems that are on the car as well. You know, so safe exit assist, rear camera detection, rear cross traffic alert, obviously blind spot monitoring and lane departure. all of that's in there, so you've got all of that to take care of. And obviously there's also various things such as heated seats, heated steering wheel. All trim levels will be quite highly specified as standard, we're told, but as I say, final specifications have yet to be announced. But I must admit, having used the Toyota screen and Lexus obviously a few times now, I am getting used to it, and it is a lot better than it used to be. It's nice, it's big, it's bold, it's right up in your line of sight, and I do like it. The shortcut menus are down the side here, so for your nav, your music or media, your telephone, your car, and then going straight into sort of like apps, and then your settings menus there as well. So again, it's fairly familiar stuff they've been used to if you've had a Toyota over the last couple of years. I really like the sort of like the fact you've still got physical controls for things such as your temperature, obviously your dual zone climate, and also for your volume control, your radio as well. You get twin wireless chargers on the car as standard. That's a good thing as well. So you driver and passenger can charge their phones at the same time as well. And there's still some physical buttons down here. So for things such as your camera view, your auto hold, your eco mode, and going into snow mode. I think that's for the all-wheel drive car, and of course your ESC. And then this big floating console here just contains the nice rotary transmission dial as well. So for going into D, for reverse, and then push for park. So that's really nice. It's up here. You've, same as the BZ4X, they've got the instrument panel mounted right at the base of the windscreen here, so it's almost like a head-up display in itself. So again, quite easy to read even from your driving position, because you look over the top of the steering wheel, which again, it's not the most aesthetic looking, best aesthetics of the steering wheel, but it's got nice physical buttons on it, and everything you need is there. So your media controls over on your left, your cruise control over on your right hand side. It's pleasingly round. I've always found the Toyota wheel to be a really nice size. It's got a nice kind of leather covering as well. You've got your regenerative brake paddles on the back of it as well, so they're nice and easy to get. I always think that's the best way of having brake regen is on paddles. And as I say, you look across the top into this instrumentation panel. We've got a big bold speedometer, and then to the left of that's an information screen, and then various all the bits and pieces you're going to need there. So your efficiency, your range, your percentage of battery, all of that is up in your line of sight. So a really nice safe thing there. As I say, it's almost like a head-up display. And actually, in fairness, whilst it does cut into the windscreen itself, even somebody short like me with the seat all the way down, you do get a good view out across the whole of the bonnet as well. Just again, because of that styling where the wings kind of raise up at the side, it feels a lot more spacious in the front there, I suggest, than it does in the back. It feels like a bigger car up front here because of this design of dashboard. And I just like the design of it, I really do. I like the way it's almost concept car-like in its texture, and as I say, the little kind of valley at the top there, and it's split into the different sections, feels really good. No glove box though. There's no glove box on the car. Lots of storage though. You've got this, because you've got the floating console, you've got a carpeted tray underneath there, so that's big enough to take certain things. You've also got, he says, a centre armrest. Oh yeah, there you go. It flips up. Does it flip the other way as well? Yes, it does. So it's double hinged. It's not as deep as I'd maybe thought it would be, but it's not bad. So in terms of things in from your glove box, you might fit them in there. And there's decent sized door bins as well. There's two cup holders down here, and as I say, the door bins as well. They're decent size, and they're also shaped to take a water bottle. Now the seats, got to give mention to these seats. These feel really supportive. Now obviously it's going to take a drive in the car to find out how good they are, maybe on a long drive. But there's good lateral support down there. They feel like a reasonably good length in the squab as well. And again, referring back to this material, it feels nice and grippy. So again, if you're getting a slightly spirited drive on, you're not sliding around on leather. As I say, this particular car's got the panoramic sunroof. There's certainly plenty headroom for me. I would think it'd be okay for taller drivers as well. So yeah, so I think there's a big change in Toyota, as I say, as well as the design of the exterior getting much better. They've really improved the interior of the car as well. You can see that you've got some nice ambient lighting as well that just gives it a bit of a lift too. And everything, just this centre console being raised up a little bit, everything feels just at your hand, and everything's just got that nice, sort of like moving from the steering wheel straight to the screen. There's no, you're not reaching across onto the top of the dash to touch a screen and things. It all feels within nice, easy reach. So again, not a huge amount to complain about here. But yeah, I think this could be a real decent car for the market. Now, it's going to be a choice of two batteries, depending on the model that you go for. So, If you go for the leading icon, I don't want to call it the base model because it certainly won't be basic, okay? If you go for that car, you're going to get a 57.7 kilowatt hour battery that Toyota reckon, they've yet to homologate it, so official figures have yet to be produced, but they reckon that's going to give a range of up to 282 miles. And I say that's going to be on the 18-inch alloys. Then you move up to the design model, and that moves up in battery size. So if you want a smaller battery, you must have that lead-in icon range. You move to design and the XL, you get a larger 77 kilowatt hour battery. Now that range then goes up significantly to 372 miles as long as you stick to the 18-inch alloy wheels. Which means that if you do go for the top of the range icon, the top of the range XL model, your range is going to drop to 332 miles because it gets 20-inch alloys as standard. They'll be an option on the mid-spec design model, which Toyota GB reckon will be their most popular model. Charging speed, 150 kilowatts. Not outstanding, but certainly not bad. You can bank on your usual 30 minutes, probably just under for a 10 to 80% charge. But the other interesting thing is, you get a heat pump as standard, as well as onboard 11 kilowatt charging. But the top grade model will get 22 kilowatt charging as standard when it comes on sale. So actually that's a big improvement over where Toyota's electric vehicles have been so far. Now obviously it's going to have to wait till we drive it to see what it's like actually out on the open road. However, let's give a look at some numbers. If you go for that icon model with the 57.7 kilowatt hour battery, that gives you a single motor at the front wheels producing 167 horsepower. You move up to the design and the XL model with a 77 kilowatt hour battery, you get a more powerful motor. 224 horsepower out of that one. Unfortunately, as I say, we're not going to get the all-wheel drive car here in the UK, which has 338 horsepower, which actually, believe it or not, makes it the most powerful production Toyota that doesn't wear a GR badge. So it's maybe a shame we're not getting that. But Toyota GB say they don't see a demand for that car in this price. Whether that will change, who knows? But as I say, until we actually get behind the wheel of the car, we won't be able to tell you what it's like to drive. But certainly with those figures, it's very class competitive. So hopefully the drive of it should hit the mark. Now, to find out what it's like to drive, you're going to have to wait for the full AutoEV road test. So that means that's the reason to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed so that when we do get behind the wheel of it, you don't miss that episode. Now obviously there's no official word on pricing as yet, other than the fact that Toyota say it's going to be class competitive. But the one thing of course you do get with Toyota is some brilliant after sales care as well. So of course, as well as your standard 3-year warranty, which on the face of it doesn't seem like a lot, but remember with Toyota and of course Lexus, if you continue to service the car at your local friendly dealer annually, as you should, then they'll extend that up to 10 years, that warranty. The other thing is when it comes to the battery, to give people confidence, Toyota guarantee a state of health on the battery for up to 10 years, 650,000 miles. So that should give you some confidence in going full electric if you're a Toyota driver. Now in terms of deliveries in the UK, you're looking at order books opening in January 2026 with deliveries to start for the new registration in March 2026. Now I mentioned class competitive there, so what other contenders could we see in the class? Well, as I say, the C segment SUV in terms of full electric, maybe not as big as the D segment SUV. Maybe so like the CHR Plus is a slightly easier task ahead of it than the BZ4X has had in that sector of the market. But of course, there's still some good cars there. You could maybe see it as a competitor for things such as the Renault Scenic E-Tech. Of course, we've also got Nissan's new Leaf, which has just been announced recently that's going to enter into this market sector as well. And maybe you'll look at it instead of a normal C sector family hatchback as well, much like you've done with the combustion engine CHR, instead of things such as the Golf and Astra. You might look at things such as the Volkswagen ID3, the Peugeot E308, and of course the Vauxhall Astra Electric as competition for this car as well. As I say, on first glance, you might think that Toyota's been a bit of a back foot, almost lazy when it comes to their approach to the electric vehicle market. They seem to have taken their time getting new electric vehicles onto the market, and dare I suggest even a little bit unsure to the casual observer. But what they've actually been doing is carefully crafting this multi-path strategy. And with a car such as the CHR Plus, what they now have is a car with a multitude of drivetrains in a market space that's a very large one, especially in Europe, because you can have the CHR now as a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, or a fully electric model. That's not the work of a company that doesn't really know what it's doing. That's the work of a company that really understands its customers and that wants to cover all its bases to make sure that those customers remain with it and remain with it with confidence that what the company's doing is taking them down the right path. And I think, well, that's admirable. Thank you for watching another edition of Sneak Peeks on AutoEV. As I say, as always, please make sure you are subscribed to the AutoEV channel. And then once you've done that, make sure you've turned on your notifications so you don't miss another episode, because you'll get notified when, of course, that is uploaded and it goes live. If you have enjoyed this quick walk around of the Toyota CHR Plus, then please make sure you give it a little thumbs up. And of course, as always, let me know what your thoughts are on the car. What do you think? Would it tempt you out of your hybrid CHR? Would it tempt you to go electric for the first time? Have you never really considered Toyota before? Now all of a sudden you're thinking, actually, I quite like the look of that. Are you choosing something completely different? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Now remember, we're also across on all social media platforms as well. So if you're into your Instagram, your Facebook, TikTok, X, LinkedIn, you'll find us there as well. So if you'd like to give us a follow there, we'd certainly appreciate it. And remember, if you're in the marketplace for an electric car, it might not be a new Toyota CHR Plus, maybe you're thinking about, I don't know, a second-hand Toyota BZ4X, but you want to know a little bit more about it and of course what we thought about the car when it was launched. How do you find out? Well, here's how. Stay on the AutoEV homepage on the YouTube channel. Just at the top there, you'll find a magnifying glass. If you type the name of the car that you're interested in there, and of course if it's been a new electric car in the UK in the last 6 years, then we've subjected it to the road test that actual car buyers trust when it comes to choosing their next electric vehicle. And that's the AutoEV one, folks. All that remains for me to say is thank you once again for watching. Thank you for your continued support. I'll see you again soon.